Hello, and a very warm welcome to this masterclass, the hidden tradecraft of elite managers. I couldn't pick something more viral if I tried. I was thinking secret tradecraft, coming up with some interesting names. Did you know? I'm going to ask you a question. Put yes in the chat if you think this is true. 7 out of 8 managers need help and don't get it. Yes in the chat if you think that was true there. I'm going to join in and say, yes, that's my comment there. It is actually true. It's a wonderful study that has been done. And lo and behold, the difference between them and you is that you're here talking to me, or at least I'm here talking to you. I wanted to share with you in this very short session an extract from the course that I deliver to lots of management teams and companies. And I deliver it in a series of coaching sessions that run twice a week over 9 weeks in just short 25-minute sessions. These are the 7 things that I think you need to know to be a really good manager these days. I'm going to share them with you now. All of them are going to be instantly applicable. Some of them are your mindset, but all of them are the absolute essence, the jobs to be done, the things that will lift you and your team up straight away. Some of these are particularly important for people who are new first-time managers, but like everything, excellence starts with the basics done very well. So even if you're a 20-year veteran and chief executive officer, everything I'm going to talk about here is going to help you do your job better, faster, with less stress. Now, the problem is you don't become a really good manager if you're average, right? If you don't do that, that's fine. At least it's probably fine if you're just an average manager. You can get away with it if you're in the office every day. Tell me in the chat here, are you in the office every day? Yes, just put office if you're in the office every day, or put hybrid if you are one of those wonderful people who get to spend a little bit of time here, a little bit of time there. If you're in the office every day and you give somebody something to do, they don't understand it, they'll just walk back to you and say, what did you mean when you said that? How does that work if you're remote? If you're 10,000 miles and 12 time zones away, how does that work? The energy and this urgency that we managed to pull together when we all started working from home overnight has disappeared, because the response then becomes, oh, well, I didn't really understand that. It wasn't clear. I'll just wait a couple of days. Now, clarity is one of the biggest things that trips people up all the time, and adds huge delays to any project or any initiative you've got on. So, 7 big challenges. Well, let's go through them one at a time here. The 7 big challenges you need to master that are going to make the difference. We are going to cover in this session here, getting your mindset right. It's all about them, not you. Prioritizing your time. How you hold one-to-ones is a big one. How you stop being that bottleneck for your team. How to coach your team. How to set expectations for them. And then how you hold those people to account. Okay, that's what we're going to be looking at today. You're sitting there saying, hang on a minute, Paul, why am I listening to you for that? That sounds just a bit too easy. Well, it is easy, but you have to be extremely good at it. Why? Because unless you are extremely good at the basics, the house that you build will tumble down because your foundations are sand. You need to be the rock that your team builds itself on. And if you're not going to last. And if you're not going to deliver. And if you don't, you're not going to progress. You're not going to get promoted. You're not going to have fun. You have to have these basics right. It's like diving into the beach somewhere sunny and beautiful, and all of a sudden you can't remember how to swim. You need to know the basics to actually get on. So your mindset is where we start. And it is your mindset, but it's not about you. It's all about them. If you've just taken over a team, you've inherited a team, essentially you've probably been promoted because you were really good at something. Well done you, congratulations. Are you good at managing people? Yes? Well, maybe that's what you've been doing in the past. Is that genuinely your forte? Is that the thing that drives you, that makes you burn? Maybe there's a challenge you have to develop here. That's something you need to build on. If you're not quite there yet, you're talking to me, you're in the right place. If you've been promoted because you're good at a task, your challenge is going to be to stop doing that task and start getting things done through other people. It's the number one challenge. It's no longer about you. It's all about them. At every transition point a manager goes through, whether you're your first time manager or becoming a director or a manager of managers or a director of directors or whatever it is, there are inflections that people go through at each stage. And there are things you have to stop doing every time. And understanding what those are is key. Other people's success is your measure of accomplishment. Your number one priority is this. It's not looking good. It's not doing the thing itself. It's not showing off. It's not allowing your ego to speak. It's the biggest challenge that every person who manages anyone faces. If you listen to your ego too much when you're making decisions, it's probably leading you down the wrong path. You need to be making decisions that empower other people, that delegate your tasks to other people in a way that makes them successful. That is what it's all about. Your number one goal, other people's success is your priority. It's not about you. It is about them. Now, it's easy to fall back in the trap when things get tough or things get busy, deadlines loom straight forward, and you think, I'll just do it myself. I'll just, well, you can't. You can't do that, because the minute you say, let me do it, all the confidence in that person you're speaking to disappears. And they're going to come back to you every time they have a problem. Has that ever happened to you? If that's ever happened to you, put a little yes in the chat here. Put something in the chat. It's not your job to do the job. It's your job to get the job done. If you answer people's questions, or worse, if you do the job for them, that's what will just happen forever. You will be the bottleneck forever and ever, and nobody will ever look at you as a leader or a manager. They'll look at you as just somebody who bosses them about, but can actually thinks that they can do the job better than they can. And that is no way to lead a team. So get your mindset right. It's all about them. It's not about you. Number 2, how do you manage your time and your priorities? Now, depending where you are in your management journey, your leadership journey, your calendar is probably pretty full. And I see sometimes, if you look at execs or busy people, you'll see the calendars just full, back to back with meetings. That's not a sign of success. That's busy. That's a sign of somebody who can't manage their priorities. If their calendars are back to back with meetings, when do you do the work? I'm all about doing the work, getting it done. So my job is all about directing things, organizing things. When do you think? When do you reflect? When do you actually take on board the messages that you're coming across, absorb them, contemplate what happens next, plan? You need to be good at organizing and directing, but you need to be good at and better at organizing your time and priorities. A few things we'll dig into now. Now, I said at the beginning, these are excerpts from the content that I work on with private live coaching sessions I run for companies. And what I do is we typically take one of these topics and we share best practices and ways of working that I've developed over 25 years of leadership and managing hundreds and hundreds of people and launching hundreds of people to success, as well as pulling together some of the best thinkers, the best ideas I could possibly find from the classical thinkers, the classical doers. For example, I don't want a book that I can pick up at a train station that really should have been a blog post, some fabulous new leadership book that should, even worse, it should have been a tweet. So, right, I've been looking at the classics going back to 1936, 1937, 1968. That's things like Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a book I'll give away most. Napoleon Hill, Peter Drucker, Jim Collins. These classics are still in print, and they're still in print after 50 or 60 or 70 years for a reason. So I pulled all my experience together with all these great ideas, and I cross-referenced them, and I came up with 18 things that every manager needs to know. Now, I'm showing and sharing with you now 7 of those 18. The first one being your mindset, and the next one being managing your time. So how do you manage your time and prioritize your tasks? 2 things you need to think about, okay? You need to look at your calendar, have a look at your calendar, and figure out what's important and what's not, and do less of the things that are not important. There you go. No, it's not quite that easy. There's an interesting thing I want to share with you called the Eisenhower Matrix that we get into in good detail in the course. But essentially, you want to be working most of your time on things that are important, but not urgent. So you have the time to deal with them. If you spend all your time working on the things that are important, but not urgent, you're doing it because you've got the time to do it. You planned when you want to do it. You put time in your diary and you blocked out time for deep work, because that's where you, as the leader, get most bang for your buck. I guarantee if you track your activity in real time for a few days, that's all you need. Track it in real time for a few days. I guarantee you'll be running around with your hair on fire, because everybody does. You'll be reactive. Everybody is dealing with the urgent and important stuff, And genuinely, that's what you need to be doing. But, and it is a very big but, every time something happens in that urgent and important bucket, you need to take it apart and learn from it. Why the heck did it happen in the first place? And how do I stop it happening again? How do I plan so that this doesn't happen again? And I plan for it in the bucket that says this is important, but it's not urgent. If you've ever had a day where you run around with your hair on fire, put the word hair in the comments. I'd love to see that. I can block that block of time in my diary. Because if you spend a lot of time firefighting or running around, you put that time in your calendar to deal with the unexpected. Expect that the unexpected happens if that's true for you. And then make sure you've got a little block of time afterwards that says stop from happening again. Okay? That's how you can constantly improve. What would be even better if I can avoid things happening now, if I plan ahead for them. The other buckets in the Eisenhower matrix are urgent but not important. They still need to be done, but not necessarily by you. So you can delegate them. You could delegate them, and you should delegate them. And they're two different ideas. You could delegate it to somebody who actually needs to have this task to grow, because you're going to help them improve, because you're going to help them develop. You should delegate something if somebody else is better at doing the job, if they have the skills, if they have the connections and you don't. So that's what you should be doing. You should delegate if it's somebody who's got that, is better placed for it, and you could delegate it if you could delegate it. Now, remember, some of the drudge tasks that you might be doing, you're probably sitting there thinking, nobody else is going to want to do this. You'll be surprised, I promise you. People will see management tasks as an opportunity and as a gift, even if you think it's a drudge. When you come on the course, you can use these time management techniques here, and what you'll see is we aim to find you about 20%, if not more, of your time back just by looking at your calendar and your priorities differently. It happens every time, I promise you. So we do the delegation of the stuff that's urgent but not important, and then that last bucket is the one that is neither important nor is it urgent, and that's the one you look at and say, what the heck am I doing with this in the first place? Why am I even thinking about it? So you've been there, right? Good. So now we've got an idea of what a calendar looks like. Track it in real time, 4 little buckets, scribble down what you do each day, and do that for a couple of weeks. Actually, working out where you're spending your time and then starting to manage it and your priorities lets you then really take control and feel more in control. What you can do immediately is look at your calendar for the last couple of weeks. Don't bother about tracking it yet, just for the last couple of weeks, and run through it. Figure out where you spend your time, and then start to be deliberate about where you're going to spend it each day. Every second day, I want you to block out at least 90 minutes, an hour and a half, every day if you can. Put it in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, whatever works for you, for deep work, okay? And that's where you put in the things from the important but not urgent bucket. And that's where you work on it. And that's where you work with your phone away, no distractions, just the task you're dealing with right now. I've got a question for you. You're watching this on the interweb right now. How many browser tabs have you got open? Count them. Count them. So it's the same on your phone. How many of these little windows have you got? Put a number in the chat there if you've got a number for me. If it's more than 3 or 4, what are you doing? Are you focused? I don't think so. Take that to-do list you've got, throw it away. Throw it away into the future. Throw it away into your calendar. It's a magnificent thing called time boxing you should look at. Look at your to-do list and take each item as it comes, either as it comes in or as it comes from your list. Triage it by priority and put it in your calendar to deal with at the right time. Do this as soon as you come off the session with me. Go through your to-do list and work it out. Is this something I have to do right now? If it is, I need to do it. Can it wait until the block in my calendar that says deal with urgent priorities? Great. If it can't, replan your calendar and get the heck on with it. Put your tasks and your deliverables into your calendar with a point in the future, with an estimate of how long it's going to take, and then increase that estimate by about a third, just now until you get the hang of this. Put it in your calendar, block it off, put the notes in there, and that is when you're going to take this task, do it, and all of a sudden you're in control of your time. You become the master of your own destiny and not somebody else. If you don't control your time, who is controlling it? Some other sod, that's who. It needs to be you. One of the things that should be a repeating event in your calendar is number 3 on our list, holding your one-to-ones. How do you hold your one-to-ones in a way that people actually want to come to them and actually get benefit from them, right? This starts at the top and it cascades all the way through your organization. There are only very few levers you have in your company to actually move things around, to make progress. Your one-to-ones are core to that. So you need a plan, you need an agenda, and you need to be repeating this agenda until you're blue in the face, until everybody knows exactly what's expected of them. And the plan is this. Your agenda has to fit a 30-minute weekly one-to-one with a 15-minute preparation window for you and the other person. Now, that 15-minute preparation window can be anywhere in your calendar as long as it's before the actual event, right? I like doing it in 45 minutes, which is 15 to prepare, 30 to actually have the one-to-one, and then I follow CUFCP. Okay, right. CUFCP. C is for checking in, not checking up. How are you doing? How are you? How are things going? Talk about the person. Find out what's up with them. Are they happy, sad? What's going on? They're humans after all. We're all humans. Have a chat. C, U for update. Give me the updates on the projects you're dealing with, the issues that are coming up now, the things that you're dealing with that are live for you at the moment. If you're dealing with sales in particular, this is not the same as a pipeline review or a forecast or anything like that. You're not dealing with the numbers on that here. These are for ongoing projects. Okay, one of the best things about one-to-ones, but the only thing about the one-to-one is it is just one of those few levers you've got for moving your business along, which is why they have to be frequent, why they have to be regular, why they have to never be moved. Well, if you have to move them, give them at least a week's notice. It's respectful. You have to respect the fact that you're spending time with your colleague here and that you respect their time. All right, so check in, update what's happening. CUF, F is for feedback. If you weren't able to give feedback in the moment, which is the best time to give feedback, and we do talk a lot about giving ways of giving and receiving feedback in the course, you need to do it at some point. So do it in the moment if you can. If you can't, then have it in your one-to-one. And sometimes you can actually say, you know what, I can leave this feedback until we have our one-to-one, and you decide when you do it, really. C for check-in, U for update, F for feedback. CUFC, coaching. The next C is for coaching, and this is where you give some coaching if and when you need it. And we'll get to coaching in just a second in this session here, okay? And then P, CUFC, P is for plan together. Who owns what? Now, you should have a shared document alongside you whenever you're doing this. So you put one document together and you just roll through. You're tracking your progress on a weekly basis. Whatever we said, whatever the issues were, and specifically around the plan, who's going to do what, by when, who owns it. You take an action, they take an action, and you follow up the next week. And that is how you make progress. CUFCP, try it out. That's your one-to-ones. Point 4. Decision making. You, sir, madam, are a bottleneck. Every manager is a bottleneck until they work out the fact that their job is not to do the job, but to get things done through other people's effort. Leadership is about taking a team of people to a place that they would not get on their own. And one of the ways of doing this is to make people independent and resilient. And an easy way to think about this is having them think about a wonderful thing that I got from Marcus Kautsky, 3 before me. Try 3 things before you bring a problem to me. You've heard, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. And sometimes that works, but sometimes it doesn't. Try to instill into them the idea that they go off and they look for 3 other ways of solving this problem before they bring it to you. Then at least they've tried that. It helps them. They might solve it for a start, but it actually helps them think through the context of the challenge they're facing, all the different issues that they've got. So when they eventually do bring it to you, it really is an issue that you have to deal with together. So sometimes you say, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. You scare people off. You scare them off and they'll say, but I don't have a solution for that. I can't bring you a solution. But you know what? That is your job. Your job is to provide, to problem solve and help people find solutions. Not to find them for them, but to help them find them. So 3 before me helps build the resilience of your team, stops you being a bottleneck, And now we get to go to point 5, which is coaching. So, CUFCP, 3 before me, coaching. How to help people find solutions themselves? Well, you coach them. If you went to your manager and said, boss, I need to launch this project. And your boss said, oh, fine. What you need to do is this, and this. And you think, well, that was easy. I like this. This is good. Off you go. And you do this, and this. What happens the next time you want to launch a project? Can you remember what those 4 things were? No? So what do you do? What's your default become? Well, you went to your boss last time and got fed, so what do you do this time? You go back to your boss. That is not the idea. So imagine this. You went to your boss and you said, boss, I need to launch a project. And your boss says, okay, what's the object? What's the goal of this? What are you trying to do? Well, boss, the project needs to do the following things. I need to deal with these issues, etc. Boss says, okay. Where are you today? Well, boss, I'm here. I've done the following things, but I haven't done these ones yet, so I'm not sure how to proceed. I don't really know where to get the resources for this, or... And then your boss says, okay, so we know what the goal is. We know where you are today. What's stopping you moving ahead? Well, boss, these are my obstacles. I don't have this, I can't do that, and I'm not clear on what these things are. Okay, says your boss. What are your options here? Well, I suppose I could look at this or that. I could talk to that person in this way. Okay, says the boss. And what do you think is the way forward now for us? What's the first thing you're going to do? Oh, well, I'll talk to John on Tuesday, Jane on Wednesday, and then I'll deal with this. Now think about this. Did the boss actually answer any of the questions? Your boss didn't need to know. The first thing is that the other person is the expert. The boss is not the expert here. That is the great thing about taking a coaching approach to management. You don't need to know a darn thing. All you need to know is a handful of questions, and I'll teach you dozens of them. And I'll give you a list of them when we come to actually do the course together, and you should definitely come on that. But coaching is the most powerful tool you have in your arsenal to get people where they want to be and own the journey and go on it with a smile. The best thing, I'll tell you, I love this. The end of a coaching session, whether it's a personal one or a functional one, is when somebody realizes that they knew the answer all along. Now, as the boss, you can drop in the, is that a wise choice? Because you're thinking, oh, good grief, don't do that. Because sometimes you do need to direct people, but also sometimes you need to let people make their own mistakes. And you learn how to do this all the time. So the next time somebody comes to you saying, I don't know what to do, you can go through the process I talked about, or you can just ask them one question. What are our options here? That's it. What are our options here? Try that and let me know what happens. On to number 6, setting expectations. How do we get to the point where our expectations are understood and clear and we get what we want to deliver? A couple of things we're going to talk to you about. One called tight, loose, tight, and another thing called SMART. You may have heard of them. Now we'll go into both of them in a lot more detail in the course, so look forward to seeing you. Tight, loose, tight is tight about what you expect, loose about how they do it, and tight about the follow-up. So you're not doing the job for them. You're setting your expectations tightly so that they know and they understand what you want done. They know what you want, they know and they understand it. How they go about doing it is their problem, but you're going to hold them accountable at the end of the process. So we also go into a lot of delegation skills in the course as well, but essentially you need to be very clear and very specific as you possibly can be about what you want as an outcome. You're not talking about, I want you to do this, 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 and this. That's very transactional, and knowledge workers like us don't really react well to being told exactly what to do. I want to know what outcomes I'm expected to achieve. That's fine. I'm the expert about how to actually go about doing it. So please don't tell me, don't lecture me about the details of what you want me to do. Instead, talk about the specifics of what you want, how you're going to measure it at the end, when it's due, what format you want it to be delivered in, if that's important. And then also, importantly, how are you going to check in during that journey? In that way, what you're doing is you're holding them to account. You're setting this tight clarity about what they need to have delivered and when, what format, and how you're going to be communicating with them through that journey. So then open and loose for them to deliver it in the best way for them because they're the experts, but tight about that accountability you're going to have at the end. Then the other thing is smart. Now, if you've got an objective that very clearly follows this model, you're on a winner. Something that is specific, something that is measurable. Now, measurable can also be observable. I can see that it's happening. Achievable. Can they actually do it? Realistic in the time that you're going to give them, relevant to the job they've got and their skill set, and then bound by time. When's it for? That'll get you there. Now, lastly, point 7. You have to hold people accountable to what they said they would do. The easiest thing you can do to hold somebody accountable is to ask them this. Are you on track? If they say yes, great, job done, well done. If they say no, you ask them, what do you need to get back on track? It is as simple as that, I promise you. Try that very, very simple question. Are you on track? Yes? Good. No? What do you need? Now, this does presuppose that you've been very clear in the setting your objectives in the first place. You've been clear about how you're going to be giving feedback and checking in, what the output needs to look like. If it doesn't seem like they understand this, or they come back and say, well, in order for me to launch this project, I need 50,000 widgets. And then you're sitting there thinking, we're not using widgets in this project. That's the point where you have to go right back to the beginning and reset expectations and repeat yourself. And if you consistently get that sort of result, then perhaps you need to have a strong feedback session that basically says, you're not getting it. Then you end up dealing with a performance issue. We deal with performance and having difficult conversations and stuff like that in the course as well. But these are the top 7 issues that I think will make a big difference to you immediately. It's about getting your mindset right, thinking it's all about them, not you. It's about managing your time, working out what's important, prioritizing it, putting it in your calendar in the right way. It's about holding one-to-one meetings that people want to come to with CUFCP. Put CUFCP in the calendar if you like that one. It's not being a bottleneck by saying 3 before me. Okay, go and try 3 things before you bring me a problem. Then we'll work it out together. And when we do work it out together, we'll do it by coaching, by asking, first of all, what are our options here? And then when you set expectations by being very, very clear and specific, measurable tasks, which themselves have to be achievable and realistic and within a boundary of time, you know that they know, and you're going to be tight about what they have to do, loose about how they do it, but tight in the follow-up. And you repeat back to them and hold them accountable. So that's the kind of thing you can do there. Are you on track? Get back on track. What do you need to get back on track? And these things alone should help you make a huge difference in your management, your team, and your leadership. And you need this. You need this, and I'm desperate to share it with you because I don't want my kids coming to a future where their first boss is like so many people. It's their first management role, and they've been left alone, they've been abandoned. I want you to help your managers become better. If you're a manager, I want you to become better at this as well. And I know we can do this because I've done it with hundreds and hundreds of people. So you and me, together, we can take on the world because you don't want to be the one who doesn't master the job. You don't want to be the one who causes people in your team to leave because most people leave their manager. It's just true. It's a relationship that people want to have with their manager or don't have with their manager that causes most people to leave from companies. Don't let it be your fault. Don't let it happen to you. Learn the basics. Learn them really, really well. And give me a shout. Come and do it with me. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that was of interest or of use, and have a wonderful rest of your day.